There's lots of properties. Properties of real numbers is what it's called. Some of them you know very well. As a matter of fact, 3 of them at least, maybe 4, I could say you would know very well. What's a property you know? Tell me. Something property. Paxton. Commutative. Now that you wrote it, check that you spelled it right. There's no N. People say commutative, but it's not.
That's community.
Because of communion, yes, communion. It has nothing to do with this. Paxton, you remember what commutative is? No? Anybody help him out? Rashawn?
You can switch around numbers and they'll still equal the same thing.
Exactly. So we're gonna say order doesn't affect the answer. I wanna see how this is looking on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's.
What property, I'm sorry, what operations does it go to? Caleb?
Addition, multiplication.
Addition. Yeah. I'm gonna switch colors, because the more I write, I want it to be easy to determine which one's which. What's another property you know? Who's? Distributive.
Good job, Liz.
And what's that, Luz? It's got parentheses in it.
Like the times the
Very good. So we're multiplying a number, it could be a constant, it could be a variable, whatever, times a quantity in parentheses. So let me put up, by the way, let me change that. So remember, this one is where something was next to parentheses, which means multiplied. But if we're multiplying it by a quantity, then each piece of that quantity in reality gets multiplied by that. So 4 times x was 4x, 4 times 1 is 4. If that was a minus, then that's a minus. Negative 2 times x plus 8. Negative 2 times x, negative 2 times 8. Alright? Okay, awesome. By the way, remember, this is a mixed group of operations. That's multiplied, that's minus. That's multiplied, that's plus. That's something to point out that will probably come out later that's important when you compare it to a different property. What's another one you know? I'd expect at least one more that you know. Caleb? Associative. Do you remember what that one is?
It is. Well, it's not.
Yeah, it's behind you, you can see it.
No, I don't know.
And Meg, help them out.
It's something with grouping.
It is something with grouping, right? So, actually, grouping doesn't change the answer. And this again is for addition and multiplication. So one like this would be like 1 plus 2 plus 7. Well, if they look the same on both sides, but if I say 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 7 is 10, or 2 plus 7 is 9, plus 1 is 10, I didn't change the answer, but I did them in different order. I shouldn't say order. I took 2 different ones first, so I grouped them differently. 5 times 2 times 4. 5 times 2 is 10, times 4 is 40. But if I do 2 times 4 is 8, times 5, that's close as well. You use associative property and commutative property a lot. When you have things to add up, don't any of you do that where you like look for tens and you like make groups of tens first? I know I do that when I have a lot of numbers, but, okay, good. Can you think of another property? Yeah?
The identity property.
Oh, how do you know the identity property?
The number of pieces are density when they add it to 0.
So you want the identity, I was gonna write a shortcut. I will actually. Identity property of addition then. So what do you want? I mean, what is it?
Any number close to 0, like in that number.
Right. Adding 0 to a number keeps it the same. And in fact, 0 is called the additive identity. So it's the same terminology, but it's one's a noun, one's like, that's an additive identity, or we can do the identity property to add 0 to something. So 6 plus 0 equals 6. Very simple property. Again, these properties aren't confusing. It's a matter of keeping track of which one's called which one. Well, we did that. I'm gonna put the next one up because the next one's like it. The identity property of multiplication. What's that one gonna say? Evelyn?
Is it when you get multiplied by 0, it stays at 0?
No, no. That's another property, kind of. Yeah, it is. Olivia?
It's multiplied by 1.
Yes, multiplying 1. So this 1 is also called the multiplicative identity. It's just a fancy name. 7 times 1 is 7. Okay. So far, before we go back from this board, can you see this? Is it better? Before we leave this board, commutative, the root word is commute, to change from one thing to another. Somebody commutes to work, they're going back and forth between the 2 places, so they're changing. Distributive, distribute is the root word. So you are like taking a bit of one quantity, like I'm sure I've used this before, if I had a bag of candy to distribute to the class, you would be the quantity, but the way to do that is to break it up and give each one each piece, right? Associative, well, associate, if I'm associating with one person, I'm kind of grouping with one person. If I'm associating with a different one, I'm grouping myself with another one. And identity here, well, each of us has our own identity, right? No matter what, if we cut our hair, our identity is the same. If we, what else would we do? Do something else to change, put on a different outfit or something, our identity stays the same. So these two properties are talking about what can you do to a number to keep it the same. And keeping in mind all of those root words and connections is really important and helpful to know, okay? Is there any questions on these before we go more on? Caleb? Okay. You had another one? Okay, let's go with these from this color, this color.